Part 1. Boyhood in Karachi. The map of the west coast of India shows Kathiawar Peninsula between the gulfs of Kutch and Cambay, thrust into the Arabian Sea, like a great challenging fist. This was the native land of the parents of Mohammed Ali Jinnah, who fought for and created the Muslim state of Pakistan. Long before Jinnah was born, his parents migrated to the fishing port of Karachi on the edge of the Sindh desert. It was then a small town of some 80,000 people. The dust from the desert came down on them in hot clouds. It invaded their food, their clothes, and their lungs. On one side was the parched earth, pleading for water. To the west was the sea, from which they made their living. Today, Karachi is the throbbing capital of the biggest Muslim country in the world. Refugees, officials, and businessmen have swelled the population to 1.25 million. Thousands of masons toil from dawn to dark, turning more and more acres of the desert into blocks of offices and dwellings, so that from the air the edge of the city seems to increase overnight, like grey lava flowing into the sand. Ancient bunda boats still come into the harbour from coastal ports, their huge sails bowing amiably over the smooth blue water. But there are also the big ships of international commerce, from Liverpool, Tokyo, and the Baltic. And there are destroyers, tossing the foam from their bows as they steam in from torpedo practice, busy, proud ships of the youngest navy in the world. In the heart of the bustling new city is old Karachi, the town of mellow houses that Jinnah knew as a boy. Some of the streets are so narrow and the houses so low that the camels ambling past can look in the first-floor windows. In one of these narrow streets, Newnham Road, is the house, since restored and ornamented with balconies, where Mohammed Ali Jinnah was born. The date is uncertain. In the register of his school in Karachi, the day is recorded as October 20th, 1875, but Jinnah always said that he had been born on Christmas Day, a Sunday, in 1876. If the 1876 date is correct, he was 7 days old when Queen Victoria was proclaimed Kaisar-i-Hind on the plain of Delhi. He was born in the year that Imperial India was created, and he lived to negotiate with Queen Victoria's great-grandson for its partition and deliverance from British rule. In one of the tenement houses in old Karachi there lives Fatima Bai, a handsome old woman aged 86, one of the few persons alive who can remember Mohammed Ali Jinnah when he was a boy. She was a bride of 16, married to one of Jinnah's cousins, when she arrived in the family home in Karachi. The year was 1884. Jinnah was then 7 years old. Fatima Bai lives with her son, Mohammed Ali Ganji, in rooms at the top of a flight of bare stone stairs. I went there one evening, and she received me in her own room, in which there were her bed, an immense rocking chair, and a wardrobe where, among the bundles of clothes, the few existing documents, the family archives, were kept. Mohammed Ali Ganji spread the papers on the bed beside his mother, and then gave me the bones of the early story. Although Jinnah's immediate ancestors were Muslims, followers of the Khoja sect of the Aga Khan, they came, like so many Muslim families in India, of old Hindu stock. Mohammed Ali Ganji said that the family migrated to the Kathiawar Peninsula from the Mahan area, north of the Sindh desert, long ago. From Kathiawar, they moved to Karachi, where they settled and prospered in a modest way. When Jinnah was 6 years old, he was sent to school in Karachi. When he was 10, he went on a ship to Bombay, where he attended the Gokul Das Tej primary school for 1 year. He was 11 when he was returned to Karachi, to the Sindh Madrasa High School, and he was 15 when he went to the Christian Missionary Society High School, also in Karachi. Mohammed Ali Ganji said in the same year that he was at the mission school he was married by his parents, as was the custom of the country, to Amai Bai, a Khoja girl from Kathiawar. In 1892, he went to England to study law, and while he was there, his young wife died. Soon afterwards, his mother died, and his father became very poor. Fatima Bai raised her hand and interrupted her son. She said, "He was a good boy, a clever boy. We lived, 8 of us, in 2 rooms on the first floor of the house in Newnham Road. At night, when the children were sleeping, he would stand a sheet of cardboard against the oil lamp to shield the eyes of the children from the light. Then he would read and read. One night, I went to him and said, 'You will make yourself ill from so much study.' And he answered, 'Bai, you know I cannot achieve anything in life unless I work hard.'" As Fatima Bai finished her story, an old man appeared at the door, a smiling old Muslim with tousled snow-white hair. His name was Nanji Jafar. He came in, sat in the rocking chair and said that, as far as he knew, he was in his 80s. Though he had been at school with Jinnah, all he could recall was, "I played marbles with him in the street." When I asked, "Can you remember anything that he said to you?" he looked from beneath his thick white brows and repeated, "I played marbles with him in the street." I asked him to close his eyes and to see once more the colored glass marbles in the dust. Nanji Jafar closed his eyes and dug deeper into his memory. Then he told his only anecdote of Jinnah's boyhood. One morning when Nanji Jafar was playing in the street, Jinnah, then aged about 14, came up to him and said, "Don't play marbles in the dust. It spoils your clothes and dirties your hands. We must stand up and play cricket." The boys in Newnham Road were obedient. They gave up playing marbles and allowed Jinnah to lead them from the dusty street to a bright field where he brought his bat and stumps for them to use. When he sailed for England at the age of 16, he gave Nanji Jafar his bat and said, "You will go on teaching the boys to play cricket while I am away." All Jinnah's story is in the boyhood dictum. Stand up from the dust so that your clothes are unspoiled and your hands clean for the tasks that fall to them. The chief peril in writing about Mohammed Ali Jinnah lies in the spurious anecdotes that are already confusing the facts of his story. Sorting these facts from the legends is not easy. In her appreciation of Jinnah, written in 1917, Mrs. Naidu described him as the eldest son of a rich merchant, reared in careless affluence. This picture is false. As Fatima Bai said, the family lived in 2 rooms of a house, set among the bedlam of rickshaws and camel carts. Jinnah's father was a hide merchant, a lean man named Jinnah Punja. His wife, who bore him 7 children, is never more than a vague shadow in the story. Her eldest child was Mohammed Ali, the boy who grew up and made a forlorn, scattered multitude into a nation. Then came Rahmat, Mariam, Ahmed Ali, Shireen, Fatima, and Bande Ali, all of whom remained obscure, except Fatima, who qualified as a dentist, and who, in later years, became her brother's close and devoted companion. Pakistanis sometimes enjoy the delights of gossip more than the science of history, and they are already weaving legends about Jinnah's name. There is a tale, repeated in the Pakistani magazines, of an astrologer who stopped Jinnah one day in the street when he was still a schoolboy. The astrologer practiced a little abracadabra and told him that there were signs that he would grow up to be a king. Another story is told of Jinnah being so poor that he sat under the light of a lamppost to study his books, and that he spent all his leisure from school in the police courts, listening to the wrangling of the advocates. There is no proof of this. In later life, he referred to only one boyhood visit to a law court with his father. When he saw his first advocate in gown and bands, he said, "I want to be a barrister." Little is known of these early years. Jinnah was neither a letter writer nor a diarist, nor did he care to reminisce about the past. But it is certain that he was neither Mrs. Naidu's eldest son of a rich merchant, reared in careless affluence, nor a poor boy reading beneath a street lamp. The truth lies in between. Over the gateway of the Sindh Madrasa School in Karachi are the words, "Enter to learn, go forth to serve," carved in the stone. The time came when Mohammed Ali Jinnah had to go forth into the world, armed only with his matriculation from the Bombay University gained at the mission school and his determination to stand up from the dust. In his earliest photograph he appears as a lean boy, with high cheekbones and heavy lips that suggest a sensuousness his character belied, eyes with more power than warmth, and beautiful, slim hands, which he used with an actor's skill even when they were bony and old. There are no letters and only one remembered phrase to make the boy of almost 16 more real. The one curious phrase persists in almost every piece of writing that recalls Jinnah's early years. He is described as that tall, thin boy in a funny, long, yellow coat. At the time when Jinnah finished his schooling, there was an Englishman, Frederick Lee Croft, working as an exchange broker in Bombay and Karachi. He was heir to a baronetcy, a 32-year-old bachelor described by a kinswoman who remembers him as something of a dandy with a freshly picked carnation in his buttonhole each morning, a recluse and a wit, uncomfortable in the presence of children whom he did not like. But he liked Mohammed Ali Jinnah and was impressed by his talents. Frederick Lee Croft ultimately persuaded Jinnah Punja to send his son to London to learn the practice of the law. Mohammed Ali Jinnah was not yet 16 when he sailed across the Arabian Sea towards the Western world, which was to influence his mind, his ambition, and his tastes, which was to imbue him with an Englishness of manner and behavior that endured to his death.